Good morning. I pray that your Tuesday was filled with spaces and places of joy, of peace, of happiness. I don't really have a title right now, but I want to share something. So I came home this morning from the pool, and next door to my house, there's a house that is actually on the corner. Well, there's a piece of property that's actually on the corner. There used to be a house there, but maybe a year before COVID, they tore the house down. This guy bought the property and he's planning on building townhouses. It's a large piece of property. So, anyway, and I've talked to you about, what's in the property. There are groundhogs, there are raccoons, there are squirrels, there's stray cats, there's deers that come over there. And no, I don't live in the country. But anyway, I came home today and I saw um, a male figure back there. And I was kind of like, but they weren't doing it. I thought that this person was walking a dog, but there was no dog. And as I got out the car and got a little bit closer, I realized, I didn't see the person. So I went in the house, came to get my recyclable trash to put it out. And when I did that, I realized this is a kid. And I'm not good at telling kids' age, but this was a kid who looked big for his age, but he was probably no more than about 10, maybe. But anyway, he was out there doing something that caught my attention. He was literally just playing. He would walk around the piles that was, the property. He would see something on the ground. He would pick it up. He would look at it. He would wave his arms. He would walk around. He would go over to the trees and examine the leaves. And so I was like, And I came in the house and I went in the kitchen. I'm looking out my back window and I'm watching him do this. And the first thing that came to mind was when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I could play outside by myself for it seemed like hours. I would go out in the morning when no one else was probably up, and I'd be out there and I would, play these little things. And I began to think about the fact that I never see kids just playing anymore. What happened to that? I never see kids outside just playing, using their imagination. Now my grandkids, when they come outside, they will do that. But I rarely ever see kids. I live on the street and I'm sure there's kids here, but if they're not playing with a bike or playing with some object, they're not just out there playing for the sake of playing, using their imagination. And that makes me sad because imagination is a wonderful thing. It's through our imagination initially that we can begin to dream big. It's through our imagination that we can see ourselves. I used to pretend like I could fly. I would jump down the steps and pretend like could fly. And that filled me when I was a kid. And that filled me with just such joy. And I could do it over and over and over again. I was imagining. I recall the time when I watched my grandkids outside, and my grandson, he's now 6, but he was probably about 5, and he was using twigs and dirt, and he was imagining that he was cooking. And so I marveled at this young man's use of his imagination. But then 2022 kind of kicked in. And my thought was, well, why isn't he in school? Now, he was dressed nicely. He has on a sweatshirt, looked like clean pants. So I'm like, well, why isn't he in school? I know schools I assume, are in session today. And then I'm thinking, well, maybe he's homeschooled. Then I start thinking, well, I wonder how his caregiver or mom is comfortable allowing him to be outside where they really can't see him because, again, it's a property next door to me, but there's kind of trees that block it from any place else. Not being able to see where he is. Now, I know when I was growing up, we'd be all over the neighborhood. Our parents had no idea where we were, but it was a safer time. And mind you, I grew up in New York City. Okay, I grew up not far from LaGuardia Airport. But it was a safer time. We walked around. No one had to worry about children necessarily being snatched or, bad things happening to kids. We grew up with street smarts. We grew up knowing how to maneuver in the streets. But kids nowadays, and I hate saying the kids nowadays, but unfortunately, when our kids go out, even if they're not on their bikes, they're in our car. For a lot of kids, if you told them, walk to the store, you wouldn't dare, let me say, tell them to walk to the store on their own. But back to this little boy. So I began to get a little nervous, and I wasn't going to go out there because I didn't want to scare him. But then I began to wonder, I wonder if he's wandered off. I wonder if there's someone out there looking for him. But he seemed perfectly content. And so I guess maybe what I'm talking about is there's always two ways to look at something. There's never not just one perspective. That when we encounter things, at least for me, and with my vivid imagination and with my inquiring mind, I often find myself maybe moving on one side where I'm like, oh, this is really good. And then thinking about the other possibilities. But today I'm going to rest on the sight of him just having fun, the sight of him appearing to be very happy, not afraid, as he's out there just playing by himself. My prayer is that he's not lost. My prayer is that he stays safe. But there is a large piece of me that honors his ability to play. So I guess the question for you is, when was the last time you played? When was the last time you just let your imagination go and you just went out and just enjoyed nature? You just went out and just enjoyed the beauty of all that's been created. When was the last time you allowed yourself to play? And I want you to remember when you were a kid, if during your childhood, even as bad as it was, if there were spaces when you were able to play, let's invite that inner child to come back today in some shape, form, or fashion. Just give yourself an opportunity to become childlike, even if it's just for 5 minutes. I guarantee you it will increase your mood or heighten your mood. And even for just those 5 minutes, it will fill you with a sense of peace, a sense of joy, a sense of happiness. So again, this video doesn't have a title. I just want to share with you what I encountered today. Love you all. I do change my clothes because people was like, she always got on that red shirt. No, I washed it. I just don't do videos that often. So when the clothing rotation comes, you get to see this shirt again. See how I did that? I'm having fun with you. Have a wonderful day. Love you all. Bye-bye.